So we go south today. We go south. The show's going south for sure.
That sounds really bad.
No,
You
like
mean
that.
both our guests are Southern, I think
That is correct. No,
Okay.
but when you say you're going south, that means that like it's going bad, right? That's
I
what
feel like, yeah, going south is like jumping the shark, and that is not what's happening today on the Backpack Show.
Everything terrible is happening. I was so tempted to put Becky on just because she's 12 feet away from her camera.
No,
So
stop it.
that's what we do at the Backpack Show.
Yes.
We try to excite and surprise. So who do we have today? I think it's a special day.
We have country music artist Jimmy Charles. You might know him from Nashville Star. He was on that show and American Idol. I met him when he was a spokesman for prostate cancer. It's like Zero, the End of Prostate Cancer. It's a nonprofit. He's their spokesperson and also has his own nonprofit, I Am Not Alone, which supports people who are battling cancer. He's got a brand new music video that we'll get to talk about. Just came out yesterday, Hard Way to Go. That's about addiction. He's just a wonderful guy. He also has a new baby. So I'm so excited. There's a lot to talk about. And Becky McCray is a small town business expert, and I love her. We're going to talk about her idea-friendly method for helping your small town to thrive.
Been a friend with Becky since I think 2005 or 6, I think 5. So we've been around for 15 years and counting. This is a big Backpack Show today, Carrie.
Yes, sir.
Backpack Show.
Rob Hatch. Oh, awkward. The show's going.
you could tell our show is geared for country music and Southern people by our intro song.
Well, we're both from Boston, so I feel like, we're not as polite, but we'll work on it.
And I have so many questions too about country because I'm a lapsed country appreciator. I like all the old stuff. I stopped right about Hank Jr. And until Hank III came around, I said, oh, okay, there could still be some good country. And now I feel like there's been these valleys and stuff like that. So that's what I want to ask Jimmy is I want to hear a little bit about that.
Fun fact, Jimmy Charles is from Ocean City, Maryland.
Get out of Dodge.
Originally, yep. Nashville now.
Very, very country part of the United States.
You're always very into geography, so I feel like I had to mention that to you.
I tell you, when you see the movie, you see the show like The Wired, that's what you're thinking the whole time is you're thinking pickup trucks.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's drag in Jimmy Charles because I think, I've run out of dumb jokes. Hey, Jimmy.
You have not.
Hey.
I have never run out of dumb jokes.
Good morning. So new video launched yesterday. How'd it go?
Yes, it was amazing. We were front page of CMT.com. And and everybody just this video is just so powerful. So everybody's been blown away. And I had about 10 radio interviews, and been playing the song on the radio, and just been getting amazing feedback. And it was amazing to have that national spotlight, to premiere the video.
Does the radio play matter still in country? Because the reason I asked that question is that all the rock people or whatever, they're just so absolutely embedded in streaming. But I feel like it's different for country music. Do you get a little bit more uplift because of radio spot, or how's that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I still think that radio is relevant, especially in country music.
Cool.
I feel like the stations are more involved with the country concerts and things like that. So they're going to promote events. There's still people listening to a lot of country stations. Now, streaming is definitely where things have gone, and a very, very important thing. It's an easy way to go get your music, not necessarily easy. I'll take that back, but you are able to go worldwide, with your music. If you start getting playlisted and things like that, you can start getting, tons and tons, thousands up to millions of streams. And you really get your music heard. And then of course, you have satellite radio too. So, I think all those components are important. If you want a longevity of a career, the best thing to do right now, if you're a young artist, is focus on making, first of all, amazing music that people actually want to listen to, and then get them playlisted and get your streaming, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, get that going and get them in playlists so that your music can make money for you moving forward.
Hi, everyone. So, Jimmy, when I met you, you were working as spokesman for Zero, the End of Prostate Cancer, and performing your song Superman, which is another really powerful song. And your songs, I guess what I'm getting at without having said it, is that some of your songs deal with these really heavy emotional things. What's that like for you? So Superman is about someone who's just been diagnosed with cancer, and the song is basically, look, you can't do it all alone. Like, you need to rely on the people that you love. And Hard Way to Go is about addiction. You've got some pretty heavy stuff. Do you ever just feel like, I want to write another song that people can play at the beach and dance to?
Well, yeah, I mean, and I do, and there's plenty of that. I mean, I tour the islands every year. There's about summertime. We made that music video in the Virgin Islands. I've got tons of friends out there. We go twice a year. I think we're gonna have to skip this year just because of COVID. Never had a bad day. That's one you put on your workout playlist and get you up in the morning and get your positive thing. That's all upbeat. But normally when I do things like talk to you guys or get on radio spots, I'm trying to save lives. I'm addicted to saving lives and helping people, and music has that power. It's really what got me into music. So, there's two different parts of my artistry. One is very much a fun rock side. Love to play down the beach, like I was saying. But then, music has a power to heal. It has the power to break down barriers. It has the power to get in people's souls, and it gets people's attention. When I came aboard 5 years ago with Zero Cancer, and they asked me to write that song, nobody was talking about prostate cancer, and it's still not something you want to talk about. But the song was on CMT. I did 1 million radio shows. I was on a million news shows, and I got to perform a song that I wrote, but then I got to talk about something that could save people's lives, and it has. And, I get to be a voice for them, because no man wants to go, hey, I've got prostate cancer. I mean, a lot of guys are dropping that stigma now, but it's difficult for them to do that. So I'm able to be a voice for that and travel the country, and it has become such an important part of what I do, because when someone is going through a crisis or going through something like cancer or addiction, they got to know that there's other people that are supporting them. And, these songs, both Superman, then I wrote We Are Warriors, I Am Not Alone, and now Hard Way to Go is we're stretching our arms to people of addiction. It's written within their perspective. So they're like, wow, I'm not alone in this. Other people have felt this, and this is my song. And you know what? It is a hard way to go, but I'm going to do this now. I've had people telling me that. So, it feels good. But there's definitely two different aspects of my artistry, for sure.
You take it to a very emotional place. I've seen you perform it at events, where like at a cancer walk or something. So people there are directly affected. They're either battling cancer themselves or their loved ones are with them. You play that song and you could just hear a pin drop, but it's not as though people are depressed or anything. It's like your songs are emotional, but they're very uplifting. So how was Hard Way to Go for you? Like, how did you come to writing that story about addiction? And was it kind of harrowing to do?
Yeah. Well, the Superman thing, what you're talking about, just for the listeners, we honor the survivors with their song with Superman, and we bring them up. We get behind them. I'm getting chills talking about it right now. And it is very difficult to sing the song to these men's eyes, and as you watch them well up, but they're holding all this stuff inside. And when I start singing to them their story, their feelings begin to come out. And even though there's tears, we hug afterwards, and then there's smiles, because all that was released. And that's what the music does, man. It gets in there, and it's a sad, it can be a sad type of song, but it's a real song, and it grabs it and pulls it out. The same thing with Hard Way to Go. I've lost friends from addiction. Addiction is everywhere. I didn't realize how much prostate cancer was everywhere, but addiction is everywhere as well. It's behind every closed door. The more that I'm getting into it, the more that I'm finding it. And there's a lot of really good people out there that are struggling with it. And there's a lot of stigma of people coming forward and not talking about it. So yes, is it difficult to sing these songs? Is it difficult to watch people cry and sing, during these emotional times? Yeah, but the impact that it's making is all worth it, for sure.
Jimmy, I want to say something that I'm sitting here biting through half my tongue to not say, just because I'm not bringing up the political aspect of this. But during that presidential debate a handful of days ago, that was a swipe that Donald Trump took at Joe Biden. And I thought it was like an incredibly powerful moment for Joe Biden to say, look, yeah, my kid dealt with addiction. My kid had to suffer through that. And a lot of people suffer through that. That was a big stage and a very hot moment to talk about it. So like I'm saying, I'm not trying to say a political thing at all. I don't care who. Right. Please just vote. But did you feel that when you caught wind of that? And by the way, Beth says hi and
Yeah.
Sharon says hi. You got a lot of fans on here.
Yeah. Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. They were there for the premiere, sharing away, and
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, that is, especially on that stage, and it's something that needs to be talked about. And it's funny because I started talking about it, and then all of a sudden, finally, we're starting to get some talk. We're quarantined people that are in addiction. And we're talking about the lives that that this pandemic is costing us, which is horrific. But then your suicide, your mental health, your overdoses, people are slipping back into addiction. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about the lives that are being lost because our lives are being secluded, and people can't get the one-on-one help. It's very easy to just being at that breaking point to just be like, you know what, screw it. And I even have an old drummer of mine, and I talked to him. We're still really great friends, but he actually used to play for a major artist, and lost that show because of addiction. But I've been down that journey with him, and he said, man, quarantine was like the hardest thing. He was like, because I was just sitting in my house, I lost all my shows, and he's just like, you know what, I could drink a bottle of vodka right now. You know what I mean? What am I doing? I got no
Who would know?
responsibilities. So yeah, good for him for coming out and saying that. And the amazing thing is that with this video has just begun, getting out there, and I'm seeing all of these people post my song, and then they're coming, and you can see I might not even be tagged in it. People are sending me text messages. This person saw it on my post, they posted it on theirs, and they just came forth and gave their whole story. And then you see the love and the support that comes behind that. They're like, I didn't know that. Well, we're right here for you. Anything. We're so proud of you. That's the kind of camaraderie. So that's what excites me about that song. But yeah, dropping the stigma is important.
Chloe
Jimmy,
in Scotland says using music to help people feel and heal is beautiful. Such a good way to communicate powerful messages.
So we're gonna play just a tiny little bit of that, and hope that the copy strike kings don't kill me.
Some sins are hard to forget.
There's my son.
There are straight roads and winding roads and ways to get lost. There are wrong turns that have their prices, and you never know.
He was so cute. That's his big debut, your baby.
Yeah, it's a CMT debut. That kid's got to do so many fun, cool stuff. He doesn't even know it.
He's going to need an agent.
He's going to. He should have one now.
Amazing. So when you were writing the song, did you find that you had to go to dark places, or were you looking for the redemption and the hope? Like, what were you feeling?
So I write about 95% of my music. I did not write this song. This song was pitched to me by Chris Birdness, who and Melissa Pierce was a co-writer on it, because we wrote a song on my other album, Rolling On, which is a fun, up-tempo, upbeat song, by the way. And he heard my voice, and he said, I've got a song for you. And that song's about 15 years old. Wow. And he sent it to me, and Chris Stapleton was singing on the demo. Of course, I love Chris Stapleton, man. So he's just got that grit and that emotion, in his vocals. And I turned it on, and I was like, okay, because I get pitched songs, and but I wanted to give it a listen, and I was just like, I really want to write my next album and everything. But I heard the first words of that song. I heard Chris Stapleton sing it, because if it had been someone else, I don't, that song can only be sung by a certain type of artist. And, Miranda and we looked at each other and we're like, oh, this is a song, and it needs to be heard. And my job as an artist isn't just to write my, and sing my own music. It's to, this is a town of songwriters. There's so many amazing songs that are out there, and so many won't be heard. And this one I knew needed to be heard. So I called him back. I said, thank you for sending me this. This is incredible. Ended up changing the name of my album. This was the title track off my last album, and to the song. I loved it so much. And here we are now with this powerful video that just premiered.
Wow. So listen, you can swing by the one of the links we keep throwing up is cbrogan.me/Jimmy. That lets you sneak right behind the curtain and watch this. Jimmy's going to have a little live a little later today, but you can get there first if you want. Nancy over in Scotland loves your singing voice. Debbie down in Texas is so glad you're sharing. So,
Thank you, Debbie.
Debbie runs Women's
Sharon's
Leadership
definitely a
Live.
big fan.
You brought the fans. It is tricky to pick up other people's words and make them fit, but this one, it just feels like it belongs with you. It just kind of fits the catalog, so to speak. Is that tricky for you as you're kind of rolling forward? Because now you have to feel a little more strategic with your music, whereas before you were just pleased to get up on the stage.
Yeah, no, this song was, personal, and I think it was one of the most, even though I didn't write the song, it was one of my most emotional, in the studio performances. I had to step back and clear my throat, clear my eyes a couple times, and a story has come out that I've never told anyone before. I never met my biological father because he used to try to come pick me up, when he had been drinking. And my mother I have a wonderful mother, and my wonderful adoptive dad, who adopted me when I was 2, had to protect me from those things. And, but it's a sad situation. And that first scene in the video, I play that part out, and it's something that's been in the back of my mind for my whole life. So I channeled that. I also channeled people that I've lost due to addiction, and then all thinking of all the people that it's going to help, and put all that raw emotion and I just let it in. And then that's how I sang. And I think you can really hear that. I've been having a lot of people tell me, they just love the vocals on this, and they can really feel it, because if you don't feel this song, you can't just halfway sing it. You got to sing it from somewhere deep down. And that's where I went when I sang that song. So it's believable. So it became my song very fast. It really did.
There he is. The baby.
Had to sneak another view of that baby back in there.
I know, he's so cute.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Jimmy, a lot of people would be satisfied to achieve any level of success with their music, like as a working artist, but you've gone on to give back to the community, like becoming a spokesperson for Zero Cancer and having kind of one of your signature songs be so closely aligned with that cause. Like, why? Basically, you align your brand with giving back to the community in this way. Some people would feel a little limited. Like, am I like the cancer guy now?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that too. I've actually been told by industry officials and stuff, they're like, you're pigeonholing yourself. You might want to not do that. You're getting too far involved. And I also find myself leading with these what have we talked about today? Obviously I have the new video, but we're talking a lot about Superman, and people do think that they think that if you go to my concert, all you're going to hear is songs about cancer. No, we're going to have that moment, and we're going to honor them if they're going to be in the audience, but we're going to be rocking out. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's there. I have a lot of fun songs, and but
nobody asks other people that.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, well, I'm an accountant and I volunteer on weekends, for like St. Jude or something. Nobody's like, oh, but aren't you now like the kid's cancer accountant? Nobody says that.
Right. Well, when those songs are put in the forefront, and I'm traveling all across the country, and then, I'm showing people I'm traveling across the country, and that, I think those songs kind of lead and get the attention. Plus, for me, I'm so passionate about, that role and those songs because of what they're able to do. When you have someone hug you and tell you, or send you a video that while they're hooked up to chemo and singing your song, that's the most incredible thing in the world. I love About Summertime, Never Have a Bad Day. We're having fun, but nobody's, that's not saving someone's life. It's the fun part about it. But people need to know, if you come to my concert, man, I'm a rock guy. I'm all over the stage. We'll have that moment, or those moments. But we're gonna have some fun too.
I love the work you're doing. All your fans are showing up. Becky, who's backstage right now, talking about
Becky's up next.
Hey, Donna, Cristobal.
You also won a Toya award.
Yeah, it's right here.
10 outstanding young Americans. That's
where it is.
Yeah.
So.
Very, very proud of this. You don't do anything for awards, but this was great because I got to meet 9 other amazing people. some incredible future former presidents have received that, Elvis Presley, and just got to kind of just sit back and say, all right, wow, and look at all the things that I've done over the past 10, 11 years. So that was a really special moment for me and a great honor.
I just want to say to Sharon, I'm saying I love what Jimmy's doing. And the reason he's on the show instead of all these like regular self-promoting type, artists is because he's giving back so much to causes that I care about as well. I'm wearing his t-shirt right now. I'm Not Alone. It's his nonprofit.
There you go.
So big fan.
Yeah. Jimmy, stick around. We're gonna put you backstage, but thank you so much for coming on. So glad to have you on the show.
Yeah,
don't go away.
Don't go away. We got more questions for you. cbrogan.me/Jimmy to get that. And thank you so much for fans. We have a Southern girl coming up, Becky McCray. We're going to talk a little bit about ideas.
An accomplished Southern businesswoman, you meant to say.
Shush, I meant a Southern girl in a pickup truck. I'm sorry, I'm still in country music. Let's talk a little bit about sponsors. Speaking of incredible country music, you can make your own country music show because I'm not. cbrogan.me/StreamYard. Make your own show. You could absolutely have on some of your favorite artists and other people and performers and take a show like this just by yourself. It's just me, Carrie, a bunch of mouse clicks. Everything gets just
bring your own award-winning musician.
There you go. See, it's better when you say it. I'm leaving that to you now. Hey, we're also sponsored by an important site to us, pub-site.com. Authors, if you're an incredible author and you've written the best book ever, no one's even going to see it if they don't have a website like this. Go to pub-site.com. You're going to be able to have the best website you ever got made for you or you made yourself for only $1,800 a day.
So it's crazy easy to use. And the people behind PubSite are FSB associates who've been in the book promotion business for 25 years. So they know what you need to have on a website. And ironically, they didn't actually want to get into the website business, but authors need great websites. And they didn't like watching their authors struggle to find somebody who could build the website they want with the elements they needed. So they were like, oh, fine, we'll help then. And now they've got this whole easy to use system. You can build your own website yourself. It really is super, super easy. If you don't want to do it, they can even do it for you.
But it's very expensive.
It is not. So 2-week free trial. And after that, it's $19.99 a month. PubSite, pub-site.com.
You should know that they also sponsor the person of the day. I have a few guesses on who I want to put for person of the day.
Hey, you can't choose one yet because we're not finished yet.
Never know if they stick around.
No, you can't choose yet.
So I'm Becky McCray.
Is still here.
Is that a colonnade duck? It is very much like the Hotel Colonnade duck, but it is not my one. I stole that image somewhere on the web. It is a wonderful, delicious, incredibly great thing to talk to Becky McCray. She has been around since I celebrated my first 50 subscribers a million years ago on my blog. I roped her into doing the Great Big Small Business Show, which was a collaborative podcast experience. Becky does her own stuff at smallbizsurvival.com and has saveyour.town. So I'm going to bring her on. We're going to talk about what it means to be idea friendly. And then
I want to tell you what I love about Becky. So a lot of people talk about marketing and cutting edge marketing and enterprise and like big city stuff. It all seems very kind of, high tech, high money stuff. But there's like a whole lot of businesses in this country that are still like, do I really need a website? I don't know. So like we're leaving people behind with our mainstream marketing advice. And Becky, I think what you're doing is so important to help small towns to survive and thrive because we'll lose those small businesses otherwise. So welcome.
You're alive.
You're here. I'm glad to be here. Live from Hopeton, Oklahoma, population 30 people.
Wow. So like if your husband leaves for vacation, you go down to like 29.
Top 29.
Right. Yeah. We have to update the sign every time somebody leaves town.
Now, by the way, Becky and her husband take some incredible vacations where she comes back with some incredible film, just safaris, basically. Well, back in the good old days before COVID.
Yeah. We go on safari to Africa. Have done more than a dozen times now. And hi to Deb, who is just joined into the chat.
Hello.
Deb is at saveyour.town.
Debbie loves Becky. All the Debbies love
Saviano.
Becky.
Yep.
I know all the Debs.
Idea friendly is something that you work on at saveyour.town, and it is an interesting thing to talk about. I live in a very, very small town, even though it's in northern Massachusetts, not a southern place. But I see the same pushback anytime somebody talks about a new business idea or anything coming into my town. The resistance that small towns feel is so interesting. Do you want to talk just a little bit about how you bring this in?
Absolutely. There are small towns everywhere, not just southern small towns. There's the thing that's interesting. Every year or every other year, we run the survey of rural challenges, and we ask people, what are the challenges in your community, and what do you most want help with? Because we see a lot of experts who show up with, they've written their solution for small towns, and then they're just going to go apply it like a template on everybody. So we ask people, what do you actually want help with? And the number one thing is always dealing with other people who make change so difficult. So with that in mind, then you can imagine all the kind of things that happen. And,
Oh, I don't like dealing with people. I agree.
And people go to their city hall and they pitch an idea to the city council. Now, first of all, if you go to City Hall, that building is just imbued with years of negative energy of people being unhappy with City Hall. So then that's a terrible place to ask somebody to take a risk and try something new. And so great ideas get pitched at people and they think, well, I better make it a really big idea so it's worth getting pitched. So then, of course, the city's like, that's too big. We can't do that, right? Whatever reason, it's the easiest thing is to say no. Mm-hmm. And then just general resistance to, well, we haven't done that here, or we tried that once. This is my favorite. We tried that once in 1974, so we can never try it again. And nothing's changed since then, right? So absolutely.
I mean, not in the town where I grew up.
And then this is the way we've always done things. This has always worked for us. I tell you what, in this year, when everything has changed for everyone in their businesses, in their lives, this is maybe not the year to rely on that 1974 idea. This is the time to be open to a new idea.
Debbie Saviano says, bureaucracy times 10 in those places. So sad that vibrant, energetic creatives who want to do something. Must be tough for them.
I do have to say, though, it's not like small towns have a monopoly on this. Hey, that's my nephew, Colton, and this is a view of my nearby big town, Alva, Oklahoma. That picture's from years ago, and he hates the fact that I still use it.
Oh, my gosh. Every adolescent ever.
Well, he's 28, so he's got an excuse for not.
That's an older picture.
Michelle's laughing at me being a lawyer, not liking other people. Yeah. Most of them don't, Michelle. They don't.
I have a question about that idea and about the concept of sharing your big ideas. I mean, that's the whole tent peg of this thing. The ideas don't have to be particularly amazing to work. Can you give me maybe just off the top of your head, even an example that you've heard come across that was a great idea? It just wasn't a big idea. Just didn't have to be that amazing to still make it really useful for a town somewhere. Does anything come to mind?
Oh my gosh, everything, every little thing that you can do. First of all, there's no place in the world that's not made better by having some string lights up. Or Rob Hatch just sent me this morning an example from his hometown. There's a wilderness area, nature preserve, and in it is trails, and there's a little wooden bridge that goes across a little creek or something that had been there so long it was falling apart. And so somebody just took it upon themselves to build a new little bridge and put it out there. And the city is on Facebook going, tell us who did this because we're going to get them. And you're just like, that wasn't a big idea. That didn't require anybody's permission. This is the kind of helpfulness that we should be encouraging. And,
how can you be on a power trip in a town of 30 or whatever?
Okay, well, this is we're not even a town. We don't have a town. My next door neighbor we say is the mayor, but
nobody builds a bridge in this town without my say so.
Without my say so. I tell you what, we talk a lot to people that are in towns of under 1,000, which is kind of our favorite people because so much is written and said about big cities. And then when people talk about small towns, they'll say, this is for small towns, 20,000 people. And I'm like,
keep going.
Really? There's towns under 10,000 have a lot of needs as well and a lot of challenges and great people and wonderful assets, amazing culture. It just doesn't fit into the mold of what people expect. So it's a matter of helping people understand you can be open to new ideas. And the easiest way to do that is just support people testing their idea. How could we try this out in a way that is the duct tape and cardboard version of this thing to see if it's going to work? And so there's no reason to hang around with ideas that played themselves out decades ago.
Rex on LinkedIn says, my new favorite book is Humanocracy by Gary Hamel. It's about busting bureaucracies. Michelle can relate. She says her small town in Missouri is the same way. Michelle says, "Hey, Jimmy Charles. Jimmy's going to be back out, Michelle."
Wow, I couldn't tell you that Michelle was a Jimmy Charles fan when she changed her profile pic to him. And Donna, by the way, says she's really ready to move to your town. 30 people sounds like a good move.
Right on.
Becky, when you were saying about the setting, it was I never thought about it until you said it, about going to town hall and what the energy that's imbued in that and the sort of us versus them feeling that comes in. Do you think maybe a small restaurant right alongside a small rural airport in Norman, Oklahoma that makes delicious biscuits would be a good place to get an idea pitched to you?
Norman is a huge town. Are you kidding? Giant suburb, huge university there. But I tell you, the thing is, we talk about, like, if you're wanting to do a project like we need to replace the city pool. Okay, go to the pool, have the discussion there. There's one town that Deb visited, and they had lost their pool because maintenance issues caught up with it, like everybody else's 80-year-old pool. And so what a group of parents did is they all grabbed their dollar store pools, little kiddie wading pools, plastic pools, drug them out to where the pool used to be. They filled them up. The kids played, and the parents sat around in lawn chairs and talked about what they wanted to do to replace the pool. And that's a productive discussion. You can have that same discussion at City Hall, but nobody's in a lawn chair and the kids aren't playing and you're not at the place, right? So you can't expect a conversation held in a meeting room to be nearly as productive as the conversation held in the downtown.
I love that the kids were there. I used to use kids all the time and be like, it's cool. I'll just wait here with my kids while you figure out if you're going to sign this legal thing I need or not.
My mom used to do that.
A lot of noise.
She used to take all three of us kids to the DMV when she had to get anything
done.
done.
Exactly.
Things go a lot faster when you get a little bunch of unruly kids. One question I have too, Becky, is that I think a lot of what's happening during pandemic, I know for sure it's happened in places like San Francisco. Everyone suddenly looked around and went, "Wait a minute! If we could do this job anywhere, why would we do it here?" And suddenly, something we've been talking about even for a really long time, the fact that real small towns, one good drop of Wi-Fi, one really good internet connection somewhere in that town makes it a data center place, a co-working place, a real tech competitor out on this on the thing, which is not the way rural places tend to think of themselves anyway, especially if they're kind of still fighting to get, barely a couple hundred megabytes from Charter or something like that. How's that work? And is infrastructure a real core thing to making these towns sort of insourcing for local U.S. businesses and all that?
Absolutely. There's, in fact, an entire company called Rural Sourcing USA, which is kind of a cool thing. And it's very variable. Internet quality varies enormously. So I'm sitting here in a community of 30 people. My internet is better than my colleague Deb Brown's internet is, and she's in a town of 8,000 people. It's just, so if you're in one of those places where you have great internet, you're able to do so much more. And Deb and I just did a broadcast with a group out of Montana, and they had all gone, and as a part of their homework is this revitalization program, they'd all gone and interviewed somebody that was new to their community. And they found a quarter of those people had moved to town and brought their job with them and were teleworking somewhere, which is an awesome number. A quarter of those people that had moved in came with their job and are working online. So amazing to realize that this is already going on. I'm hearing from people, if they're in a close-in small town, you're within an hour of a big city, people are moving. People are moving within that range of driving distance already. So that's already happening.
That's big.
And what we're also seeing is that more communities are aware of their absolute shortcomings in broadband. And we're seeing more policy awareness as well, which is extremely important, because some of these things, there are some places that cities aren't allowed to do broadband because the state has passed a law that says they can't. And I'm like, why would you pass a law saying someone can't provide something to your communities? That's bad. So, right. But we see great movement.
Those are the same people that are like, who built this footbridge?
How dare you put Wi-Fi into your town, But
we say hey to everybody.
It's all good. It's just a big conversation, right?
It's so great. It's like a small town, Becky.
It is. The internet is like a small town. It has been a long time.
You've been pitching that for years. You've been pitching that for years, bitching that.
Stop it. Never in her
I need
life.
even more coffee. We're dragging Jimmy Charles back out here. We're going to do our little panel near the end. So, Jimmy, you're going to be live on a screen in a second. I hope he hears us.
He's talking.
He's hard at work, Chitty Chat. Jimmy, you hear us? We're coming back.
He's
Yeah.
He's just, I got to tweet these people.
Got lost in the moment.
You know, Becky, I was curious what you thought when you were hearing Jimmy, because that's more, you know, that's the lifeblood of places like Oklahoma and all that sort of thing, where, you know, you're not necessarily waiting eagerly for the next rock album to drop. So what in the business
You keep
elements?
stereotyping me like this. You know what? You and I have had this conversation before.
I
And
know.
every time I remind you that my husband is a big fan of like Judas Priest, you get all excited because you can't believe that anybody in the country listens to music except country music.
Listen, I was up in Maine and we were all metalheads up there. So it's, you know, Maine's basically the other South. So I get it. I get
On
it.
the other hand, I love me some Hank Jr. So there you go.
So you're not helping your case, Becky.
Jimmy, well, let me ask you this question. I have a whole other question. Can you tell a lot about someone by the Hank they like?
If they like my Hank, we were talking about this before. I got a bulldog named Hank. He just looked like a Hank. It was either that or Meatball, one of the two. But
Oh, he's adorable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, family tradition. I can't tell you how many times I've played that song. You know, and the people that are, you know, if they're in for a good time, if they're coming up requesting some Hank, and if they know Hank Sr., then they know they know the roots of country music. They know the history of country music. So, you know, Hank Sr., I think, man, he was he died when he was like 30, I think. I don't quote me. It was right around 30. That's it's a short-lived life, but man, he was one of the first. So, yeah, you can certainly tell.
Can I show everybody Hank? Is that cool? Like your Hank?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Here he is.
Hello.
He's so in love.
Oh yeah.
He's been on many.
Can you
I
hear
feel
him?
like-
He's sort of purring.
Especially when he was a puppy.
Oh, yeah.
Loved him, and he travels with us.
There
quite
he
a
is.
bit.
This Jimmy's Hank.
Basically, the zero.
What a
cancer.
cutie.
Oh, he's a cutie.
So,
Yeah. I hand him the mic after a couple minutes, but you know, I don't hang out for that. What a cutie patootie.
Oh, my gosh. Oh,
Sorry, I just thought everybody needed to see that.
we lost Jimmy. I don't know how we did that.
Oh,
one.
there you go.
Probably something.
It just
Well,
went.
I did.
Once
It
Hank is
couldn't-
in, Jimmy's like, nobody wants me anymore.
Yeah, it's now it's Charleston, so I'm last.
Debbie's saying that he was addicted to alcohol and a life lost too young. Not your Hank.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of
Yeah.
substance challenges there, and Hank III has made a kind of a career out of his songs about, you know, the opposite side of that. Like, this is great,
Right.
So this is a little hard out there. That doesn't exactly blend with your message so well.
Mhm.
One thing I was thinking about was just the fact that you know, we were talking to Becky about broadband. I was talking to you about radio, and it's interesting that these are like containers. You know what I mean? Like, and they have a different thing to them, and small towns need broadband. Just like I think the big world needs radio still because of the community aspect of it. Isn't it weird that we need to borrow from both sides of that coin is the question? Such as there's not much of a question.
More of an observation. No, it's not. Unlike what I was saying, how like marketing is leaving people behind talking about cutting edge big city enterprise concerns. A lot of areas leave rural America behind in all sorts of ways, and sort of think that just because we don't need it where we are anymore, we don't need like regular radio anymore where we are, doesn't mean that nobody anywhere does.
I think this is one of the critical things that we're facing right now as a nation and probably globally, is this understanding that your experience isn't everyone's experience, and that everyone has a culture they come from. They're part of a place in a community, and we all have gifts to share. And this loss of recognition of our gifts is probably one of the things that's making it the hardest for us to be cohesive. We see our own experience, and then we assume other experiences, either we don't even think about them until they hit us in the face, or we dismiss them and say, well, but that's not important. Those,
doesn't matter to me.
City dwellers or those rural people, they don't understand. And so one of my greatest depression moments is the way that the term rural has become synonymous with a political outlook. And I can promise you there are people all across the political spectrum in all places. So we have to get better at recognizing that other people have a perspective and an experience, and it's not like ours, and that doesn't make it less valuable.
That's what's so brilliant about the songs you write, Jimmy, about these difficult things that a lot of us experience but never talk about. It's easy to feel alone. Where I am in Nashville, even, let's say, it's easy to feel alone in certain political views. But when you're dealing with addiction or battling cancer, you feel alone in a sea of people, a lot of whom are sharing your experience and you just don't know it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's there's so much love out there, especially in those things. And that's why with Superman, it even says no one's Superman. So you've got to accept that. Not only do you have to get checked because you're not actually Superman, you need to get checked. This could happen. A lot of people don't think it could happen to them. And then with addiction, a lot of people think they can handle it on their own, or they don't want to burden other people with it. So yeah, it's important to get that community. And that's what the great about songs. It creates conversation, it creates community. And then you see the support, and it's like, I mean, I'm literally watching it happen. People come out, they tell their story, and then they're like, the next post is like, man, I am blown away by how much, you guys have come out. You made me feel so good. I didn't think I was going to get this response. So, yeah, it's exciting to see that happen.
Well, we have hit that spot of the show where we get to talk a little bit about our person of the day. Person of the day is sponsored by PubSite, pub-site.com. Get your awesome website for your incredible book that you wrote. You know what? I was thinking about Debbie Saviano a lot today, so I just want to make her person of the day. I can't remember if I did or not before, but Debbie, you are person of the day. That means that you can go out to Becky's place. She's got an apple tree. You can go get an apple off her tree, and it'll look just like that one.
Can I
only
just
better.
say all the comments Debbie's made today, and that's the one you
That's the one. I want to do.
You're like,
Hank
hey,
Williams
everybody, we're just
comment.
going to slow things way down. Oh, look,
There,
Becky
look at
actually
that.
has an apple.
Apple
Debbie,
thumper.
just go to Oklahoma and get
It's
it.
not that far from Texas. Right
It's
around
really
the
not.
corner.
I mean,
All
I
right.
think of us as neighbors. It's all cool.
There you have it. I think it's a good way to think about neighbors anyway. I mean, Mr. Rogers taught us that. Listen, so the last question of the day is what goes in your backpack? This is the fundamental question on the show, because the idea is that everything's changing all the time. We just can't carry everything with us, and we're not building on solid ground anymore. So you really only can put one thing in the backpack. People have tried. You can put something physical, or you can put something kind of metaphorical. Hope, that sort of thing works just fine, or an avocado. So I want to know pecans. Or
It's
depending where you are.
pecan, y'all. The only time you need a
it is
pecan is when
pecan.
you're going camping. That's what
Oh, I
You got to
didn't
get
know.
really Southern before it's a pecan. It's pecan. All right. I used
Got
to live
it.
in Texas. I can do the Texas accent if we have to.
Becky,
I can't
what goes in your
imagine-
backpack?
why you'd have to. No.
My back.
goes-
Who's going first?
You, Becky.
Okay. In the backpack, put your openness to new ideas, your willingness to test, try, experiment, try the duct tape version, and see what works instead of trying to decide in advance.
I can get with that. Jimmy
Yeah.
Charles, day after the launch of your big old song and your whole new
Yeah.
thing, what goes in your backpack?
By the way, we're going to be launching the direct upload to Facebook today, because we had the CMT big premiere was yesterday. That was exclusive for them. Now moving on today, we're going to be on YouTube at 10:45 Central Time, and then later on today, we're going to upload that directly to
Nice.
Facebook. So we'd love for you guys to join us for that and get it sharing. And I would want to say, can it be a guitar case?
Sure it could.
First, so
A big
that-
backpack.
yeah. But if not, I would say, a positive attitude. Never had a bad day. Just won Song of the Year for the Nashville Industry Music Awards, and that's a song that's very uplifting. It's one that you want to work out to. It's so much fun, and I actually listen to it every morning when I wake up. My son loves it. He starts bouncing to it and dancing. He's got this dance that he does. I don't know. It's so funny, but it's all about positive attitude. And that if there's one thing moving forward, I have to remind myself as the day is going to present challenges, how we react to those challenges is how our day is going to go and how our future can be built. So a good friend of mine said every time he just decided that he was going to start living life positive. And every time somebody asked him, how you doing? He said, never had a bad day in my life. And he took that and he has completely changed his life around. So that would be in my backpack.
That's a biggie. That's a biggie.
Fans are sending love. So you have an
Renee
incredible
with her
boy.
new baby shows up, says she's happy to see you. So
Tim says he
Good,
wants
Renee.
the abundance mentality in his backpack.
Hi, Tim.
Yeah.
Mr. Sanders himself, you know, Becky. All right, listen, I was thinking about this, and Becky said earlier that Mr. McCray loved Judas Priest. The other person who literally, for real, no joke, loved Judas Priest, my grandmother.